Okay, today we're going to look at point of view, and your 6th grade standard is RI.6.6, and it says to determine an author's point of view or purpose in a text or explain how it's conveyed in a text.
And the 7th grade RI 7.6 says determine an author's point of view or purpose in a text and analyze how the author distinguishes his or her position from that of others. It's very similar to the 6th grade standard, but just a little bit different. So you'll see the difference when we get a lesson.
All right, so looking right here, it says, did you ever read an article that tried to, Did you ever read an article that tried to convince you to agree with the writer's ideas? If so, you may have noted that certain words, and that's important, were chosen to appeal your emotions. Okay, so what I think about right here is opinion words. The writer may have made different choices in the text that were meant to inform or entertain, for example. Okay, after all, content is shaped by author's purpose, which is their reason for writing. It's shaped by the author's point of view or feelings about a topic. We sometimes hear the word author's perspective. So if you're looking at this cartoon right here, it says, what is the judge's point of view about an athlete's performance? Okay, so if you've watched Dancing with the Stars, you know how they flip around their little cards. So we've got this guy right here. He says, perfect, bravo, and he flips around a card and he says 10. Okay, but then right here, she says, simply awful. All right, so you have the word awful. That performance was flawed. There's another word. By sloppy technique. You have the word sloppy. So you have awful, sloppy, flawed, and then she gives them a 2. All right, so looking right here, circle clues that helped you figure out each judge's point of view. Okay, so we talked about those there. We have the athlete's performance. Judge 1, and it tells me, gives a score of 10, smiles and uses the word perfect. It was positive. So Judge 1 thought the performance was wonderful. But then Judge 2, she frowns, gives a score of 2, and uses the word awful. And that was a negative viewpoint. So she thought it was terrible. All right, so.
And what kind of to add on to that, if you notice in the context when it said smiles and frowns, you can use some of the pictures, the illustrations to help you, but don't totally rely on the illustrations. Make sure you're looking for those words to help you as well.
All right, so we're going to read this passage, Climbing Ice by Melissa Thompson. And it says, imagine facing an enormous frozen waterfall. You're at the bottom of this huge ice formation, staring up and thinking through the steps you'll take to climb it. Yes, it's dangerous, and that's part of the fun. For adventure seekers, ice climbing offers a physical challenge and a unique thrill. The surface of ice varies greatly from one location to another, so an ice climber must be ready for any situation that could arise during a climb. One wrong step could lead to a deadly fall. Yet, to enthusiasts, the risk seems small when compared to the reward of finally reaching the top. Speed competitions are for ice climbers who need more adventure than simply scaling a steep ice wall. These events offer the rush of danger coupled with the excitement of speed and competition. Okay, so let's look at some important words right here. All right, so it tells me that, yes, it's dangerous. Okay, that's part of the fun. But then it says, for adventure seekers, ice climbing offers a physical challenge and a unique thrill. All right, so the surface of ice varies greatly from one location. Can lead to a deadly fall. And then we get back here and talking about danger here. Okay, but if you'll notice, he says, yes, it's dangerous, or she says, sorry, that's part of the fun. That they're getting a thrill from that danger, okay? So they're taking as danger as a good thing. It's exciting for them. And then it says it's a unique thrill, okay? So Melissa's point of view right here is ice climbing is thrill-seeking for her. She enjoys doing it, even though it's dangerous, because she gets something from it being a dangerous activity. She enjoys it because of that. All right, so excitement of speed right there. That gives her, even more of a thrill. All right, so let's look right here. It says, what is the author's point of view about ice climbing? What words or phrases reveal the viewpoint? Okay, so we talked about ice climbing. We know that it's dangerous, unique, deadly. Okay, well, unique, that's positive. But then when you say dangerous and deadly fall, if I see the word deadly fall, then that's a negative point of view to me. All right, so ice climbing speed competitions. It says rush of danger coupled with excitement of speed and competition. Okay, rush of danger, that would be negative. But then it says excitement of speed and competition. So that is positive. So what would the author's point of view be right there? Well, they inform us about the excitement in the story, and she enjoys that. So the author's point of view here is, even though it's a dangerous activity, she enjoys it because it is thrill-seeking.
And I'm going to point out on that.
Yeah,
she's correct. And if you notice, every time that she says something that's dangerous, she follows it with, but it's exciting. So she mentions the dangers, but the second point that she makes is always the excitement part
That's
about
right.
it. So then, therefore, that helps develop her point.
That's right.
All right, continuing the story. Worth the Risk by Chris Lay. Ice climbing is a dangerous sport in which people attempt to climb frozen waterfalls and icy mountainsides. Training and proper equipment, along with protective clothing, are essential, but they're not enough to guarantee safety. Even experienced climbers continue to be injured and killed while participating in this high-risk sport. Do the thrills outweigh the risk? When an ice climber is buried under an avalanche, emergency responders are dispatched at great expense to the community. If by luck the climber survives, it may take months or even years for him or her to recover. Are such costs worth a few hours of excitement, not years? Okay? So it's a different author here. So we're going to do the same thing. Remember, you're going to have to go look for these key words that are going to let us see the author's point of view here. So let's go look for some of them. So if you'll notice, you can even look at the title. Well, the title is called Worth the Risk. And it's a question mark. So they're asking you, is it worth the risk? Okay. And if you'll keep noticing, from there, some other words would be dangerous. And then if you'll notice, high risk. And then if you'll notice, toward the end, great expense. That means it's going to cost a lot of money. So all the words that I see here are more negative words.
Right.
So they're showing the danger and how expensive it's going to be and how it's going to risk not only injuring themselves but others. So we can take these words, and if we look on down in the story.
Well, and I also noticed right here where they said, if by luck the climber survives.
Yep. That's very good. They're saying, yeah, if they're lucky.
Yep.
So that shows their opinion as well. And then it says, are such costs worth, even the end with a question, are these costs worth a few hours of excitement? So let's go look. So pretty much, which is Chris' point of view about climbing? He admires the bravery of people who participate in the sport. Let's think, were any of those words that we had circled showing the keyword bravery here?
And how do you feel about the word bravery? Is that a positive or a negative?
And it's more of a positive thing, and these words were all negative. So we know it wouldn't be A. So I would eliminate A. Elimination is very good. Let's look at B. He strongly encourages people to get the proper equipment and training before trying ice climbing. Well, let's look. Does he show us? Is he encouraging is a positive word here. And is he showing us to get proper equipment and training? He doesn't really even talk about the proper training and treatment. That doesn't even what the story was focused on. So it's definitely not B. So let's look at C. He questions the wisdom of people who think the thrill of ice climbing is worth the danger. The key word is questions. Okay? Well, in the story, let's look. He questions the wisdom. Wisdom means, is it smart or not to do this? And is it worth the dangers? So let's go back and look at the story. Do we see him questioning? Well, if you remember, I might have to pull this back up again. Let's look. We had said we had highlighted worth the risk. Is that not a question in and of itself? And then he used the word dangerous, and he even said something word at high risk. So he's questioning whether or not that is this sport really worth what it could cost you. So let's go back and look. But now we think it's C. I'm pretty sure it's C. But you should always read all your answer choices because you never know. Let's look at D. He downplays the high cost and serious risks of the sport. Well, you got to know what downplays means, okay? If you downplay something, you're showing that it's not really that big of a deal. Well, let's look. Do any of those words that we circled show that he doesn't think it's a really big deal? No. In fact, they're the opposite. It says dangerous, high risk, great expense.
And then here, are such cost worth it?
Yeah. So obviously, that's the complete opposite of how the author feels.
That's right.
So it has to be C.
That's right.
So if you'll notice the question, let's look at the bottom question. It says, look at the answer you chose above. Explain which words and phrases in the editorial help you identify the author's point of view. And if you'll notice, we already circled all those words that let us know. His point of view is that he obviously feels that it is too dangerous of a sport.
It's not
worth the risk. And one more thing. If you'll notice from this author, worth the risk, to the first story about climbing ice, it was two different authors. And we know that their point of view were different.
That's right.
This author obviously really was accepting of it.
She was a thrill
seeker. So her point of view would be that they should have it as a sport, whereas this gentleman's point of view is obviously that no, it's too dangerous. So you can see the difference in the points of view.
You did record.
We don't know.
I want somebody up there with me.
I'll go up there with you.
Oh my gosh, I need clothes.
Are you freaking kidding me?
We don't know.
Cancel canvas.
It may be video not now for all we know.
I'm going back here saying, are you freaking kidding me? Hey, where does Leanne need to send these videos?